Hello. Good evening, Master Builders. My name is Joanna, and I'm the founder of the Master Builders Society. So today, y'all, we're doing part 3 of the Subrogation lecture. And I'm going to walk you guys through this process, step by step. Alright? So, this can be used to get rid of any kind of debt. Okay? Understand that everything out here is debt. It's all debt, taxes, fees, charges. Okay? So whether it's a traffic ticket, a car note, or a court case, it's all the same thing. Alright? So, trying to think, what do I want to jump into first? Eventually I do want to put out a video just kind of explaining like the basics of like the system and how it really works, because I still feel like there's a lot of people who are slightly confused about that. But we're going to stick to the topic at hand today. Right, this is what I'm trying to do. So, what's happening in a court case, right, is... One second, y'all. Private nominee agreement. Please make sure you're connected to the internet. Okay. Say less. I'll put my data back on. Alright, so what's happening in a court case, right, is, like I said, understand the difference between administrative and judicial. Okay? Administrative and judicial. I'm going to go ahead and save this and download because it's not... The formatting is weird on my phone when I just pull it up on Drive. So I'll download it, and then, yeah, see, now we got a regular looking document. Okay, so administrative, judicial. Okay, administrative is statutory, judicial is constitutional. Okay, public, private. So administrative, public, judicial, private. Okay, think of it like that. Now, what I want y'all to understand is under both the state and the federal constitutions, involuntary servitude, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Involuntary servitude. All this stuff, these court bonds, they're performance contracts. Okay? They're performance contracts. You've been contracted to perform some type of service. Okay? Under the state and the federal constitutions, involuntary servitude may only be used as punishment for a crime. If you guys listen to the other 2 lectures, we talked about the difference between crime and infraction. Right? A crime means there's an injured party. You harm someone or you harm their property. An infraction means that the injured party is the corporate state. Okay? A non-real person, a legal person, cannot be an injured party. Okay? So say you robbed a store. Okay? Well, you harm someone's property. That property belongs to a real boy or a girl. A human being. Okay? A homo sapien, as defined in Title I of the U.S. Code. Alright? So if there's a real injured party, that's a crime. If there is no real injured party, you drove without a license. You had 5 pounds of weed in the trunk. That's just daddy government doesn't like your behavior. There's no injured party. Okay? That's not a crime. So that type of charge, like say you got pulled over out in North Carolina somewhere where weed is still illegal, you had a pound of weed in the car, okay? That's a administrative, statutory, revenue, public charge, okay? So when they put those bonds out, that's a statutory performance contract. Now, like I said, involuntary servitude on a constitutional level can only be used as punishment for a crime. Not for a statutory infraction, a crime. Okay? So they can only force you to perform a service contract if there is a valid injured party. Okay? If they try to force you to stand as surety on an administrative charge, that's called involuntary servitude. And that's a crime. Okay? Now, if you don't know this, they're going to do it. They're going to get away with it because it's going to be assumed that you voluntarily participated. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. Right? So, if there's no injured party, you don't have to perform that performance contract. That would include going to the court dates, showing up at the court, all those appearance bonds. Those are all statutory performance contracts. Okay? There's no injured party, so you don't have to participate in any of this. It's against the law for them to force you to, if you know what to do about it. Okay? So, 3, nominee, letter rogatory. That's it. Okay? So, 2 different documents I use here. Let's actually look at the other one first. First one we're going to do is a nominee agreement, okay? This is nothing more than a fiduciary assignment, okay? You guys heard about the UCC stuff, okay? So when you file a lien and then you turn around and assign it to somebody on a UCC 3, okay? So this is essentially what this is an assignment, okay? What you guys got to understand is all this stuff happens naturally by nature under the revenue code. Okay, if you give someone, you go to the car dealership and you sign a promissory note for that car. Once that dealership has held that note for 10 days, okay, under administrative law and revenue law, a trust is automatically created. Okay, it doesn't have to have a UCC filing against it, okay? All this stuff like secured party creditor, you're already a secured party creditor. It's already set up. So this idea that something has to be changed is no. Okay? All this stuff happens by nature of the statutory code. Okay? So what happens when you violate statutory policy? They say, okay, well, this person has violated this code, and therefore an administrative fee is attached to that code. You see this, like the signs on the side of the road say littering, well, $1,000 fine or 6 months in jail, right? All crimes are commercial. They all have commercial values attached to them, right? Okay. So well, you violated this, and there's a fee attached to that, okay? So the district attorney, as the attorney over all the accounts in his district, okay, is now responsible for tendering payment to cover that violation, okay? So what he does is he draws up a bond on your behalf because he has the power to assume custody over you as the district attorney, okay? And he tenders that bond as pledge to the court, okay? So this is surety for the performance contract, okay? So what you want to do, if there's no true injured party, then there's no crime. You are not required to pay anything, okay? At this point, what they're doing is they're assuming custody, okay? But custody can only be forced over you. Servitude can only be forced over you if there is a valid injured party. Okay. Otherwise, this is a voluntary process and you cannot be forced to participate. Okay. Before we get into that, let me show you guys. Okay. So this is the law right here that created revenue code, right? So I'm going to read this to you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. This is what's going on. This is also known as the Debt Assumption Act or the Public Funding Act. Okay, the Debt Assumption Act. Okay, so the agreement between Britain and the United States post-World War, Revolutionary War, right? So what you guys got to understand is a war is never really over. It's just on pause, right? How are wars ended? Well, wars are typically ended by the signing of treaties, okay? A treaty, just like a constitution or anything else, is a contract, okay? It's a contract on these are the terms upon which we will stop attacking each other. So as long as you do this and I do that, there will be no war. Okay. Now, understand that if the terms of this contract or this treaty are breached on either end, there is no longer a guarantee of peace. Okay. So the Paris Peace Treaty, the sovereignty of the United States was granted upon the United States becoming a creditor to the Kingdom of Great Britain. Okay. The District of Columbia is the successor company to Georgetown and Washington, aka the modern-day Virginia Company. And the United States is indebted to the District of Columbia. Okay? This is all debt collection on behalf of the Crown. Okay? So look at Section 6 here. Be it further enacted that for the crimes or any offenses foresaid, like proceedings shall have be apprehending, imprisoning, or bailing of the offender. All right, let's skip down Section 7. This act shall be enforced for 2 years. Oh, okay. Okay, the next one right here. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, this is where this act starts. This is the little top part, Section 5 and 6. That's the last part of the last act. Okay, so it's this one here. An act making provision for the payment of the debt. Payment of the debt. Okay? So this is the law that created, okay, this is the system we're going to use for the payment of the debt, to raise money for the payment of the debt. Okay? So then we get in here, Section 4. Okay. Be further enacted that for the whole or any part of any sum subscribed to said loan. Okay, so this is revenue code. This is a loan program for the repayment of the debt owed to the Kingdom of Great Britain post-Revolutionary War for the granting of our sovereignty. Okay, so any whole or any part of any sum subscribed to the said loan by any person or persons or body politic shall be paid in the principal of the said domestic debt. The subscriber or subscribers shall be entitled to a certificate purporting that the United States owe to the holder or the holders thereof his, her, or their assigns a sum to be expressed therein. Okay, so you see what we're talking about, certificates. Holders, okay, so everything that they put in trust, every time you get a certificate, you go register your car, get a certificate of title, okay, everything is in trust with the state, okay, and this is all for the purpose of they take this property, this is trust, okay, these are all accounts receivable for them. If anybody's into finance a little bit, these all become accounts receivable, okay, so if they can say I own all this property, now they can take out loans against the property to finance the country. Okay, that's what's going on here. So you get these certificates. So everything with a certificate on it, a certificate, title, certificate, all these certificates, okay, this is all being used as collateral to fund the nation. Okay, now, so where I want you to see here, this is voluntary. As it may happen that some of the creditors of the United States may not think fit to become subscribers to the said loan, be it further enacted that nothing in this act contained shall be construed to in any wise alter, abridge, or impair the rights of those creditors of the United States who shall not subscribe to the loan, aka I refuse the contract. Shall not subscribe. Subscribe means to sign, to undersign, to agree to put your name to. Okay, that's what you're doing when you sign something. If you go get something notarized, even the notary presentment little statement says subscribed to by this person. Okay, that means you signed it. Okay, I agree to make myself a subject of this agreement. Okay, and that such creditors may not be excluded from participation in the benefit hereby intended to the creditors, while the said proposed loan shall be depending and until shall appear from the event thereof what further other arrangements may be necessary respecting the said domestic debt. Okay, so they're saying that if you choose not to subscribe to the loan, they can't take out any, they can't do anything to you. They can't retaliate against you. Okay, because why? Because, well, what is a loan? When I subscribe to a loan, that means I owe somebody. I'm in debt, right? I take out a loan from the bank for $4,000. Well, now I owe the bank $4,000, right? So I owe them equity of some sort, labor, money, right? So obviously, to do that against my will would constitute servitude and slavery. That's fairly obvious to anyone who understands the definition of those words, right? So it's quite obvious that if slavery is illegal, that this has to be voluntary. Come on now. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there that I'll show you guys on a different day, probably when I do the introduction video to what the hell this all means. But we're going to move on for now. So, like I said, if the charge is administrative, you do not have to perform. So what I'm going to show you how to do is a process called subrogation. Let's look that word up real quick. Subrogation. Subrogation is a legal process that allows one party to take on another party's legal rights to collect damages or debts. It kind of sounds like an assignment, doesn't it? If I assign, so say if I have a car note, right? So someone, let's say I'm the banker, and someone just signed a promissory note to buy a car. So I have a contract saying that John Henry Doe owes me $40,000. Well, if I assign that contract to Jane, well, now John Henry Doe owes Jane $40,000. That's what assignment does, okay? A statutory assignment under the Revenue Code is known as a nomination. A nomination. This is where we get our nominee agreement. You're going to nominate your public defender that everybody keeps trying to tell you to get rid of. Don't get rid of him. Hang his ass. So you're going to nominate him, which means you're going to assign. You're going to assign this bond to him. The bond is at the table with the court. Well, it's yours. It's written off your estate. And you don't have to surrender custody over it because there is no valid injured party.